Hello everybody, welcome to Also Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already and drop a like on this video. I'm trying to hit 100k on this channel by the end of the year, so your subscription would be much appreciated. So we finally have one side of our NBA Finals matchup, this being the Phoenix Suns, a team that while I was pretty high on going into this year, I did not expect them to end up winning the conference, for damn sure. I don't think most people did. They beat the Los Angeles Clippers in Game 6 it ended up being 27 points. Now, that makes it appear as though this was like a blowout the whole way through, when really it felt like the Clippers were like on the edge of making a run for a good chunk of this game. I'm going to focus more on the Suns side of things from this one just because I want to celebrate them. On top of that, my main channel, I just posted a video on the Clippers and their future going into next year, so I'd rather you guys just go watch that video if you haven't already to hear my thoughts on the Clippers, though I will give my thoughts for them for this individual game real quick. I'll actually just start with them for that. This game, ultimately, Paul George didn't give enough. His aggressiveness was like, I mean, I've mentioned this before, like his aggressiveness going to the basket is just consistently not as good as you would like it to be, consistently settling for jumpers and things like that. Marcus Morris came in with a good game, and Reggie Jackson had his first not great game of the series, unless I'm forgetting one, but he had 13 points, 8 assists on not the best efficiency. The assists were nice, but not the best efficiency. Really, the guy who stood out this game, really the two guys that stood out this game, and it's a testament to them, but also like a testament to why the Clippers ended up losing, that the standouts of this one were Patrick Beverley and DeMarcus Cousins. Now, first of all, fuck Patrick Beverley. I don't think he's a bad person, so I don't hate him, at least as far as I'm aware. But I don't like watching him play. That's for damn sure. He pushed Chris Paul on the floor, and that really annoyed me, as it did most people. And even people who are defensive of Patrick Beverley and like Patrick Beverley don't know how they managed to do that, but those people do exist. Even they were like, all right, dude, that was a bitch move. Like, Chris Paul wasn't even looking, and he just made a three over him, so now he's being fucking salty, and he walks up and pushes him. He got ejected for that. It was some stupid shit. What else is there on the Clipper side of things? I mean, like I said, but it was also not just Paul George not being aggressive enough at times. It was the Clippers a little bit, but really, it was just that reoccurring thing with this team where they're not as attentive all the time or as really pushing for it all the time as they probably should be. And that's pretty much exactly what ended up being the cause of this game, is that there were moments of lapses of effort or judgment or whatever you want to attribute it to. Whatever it was, there were moments where the Clippers seemed out of it and the Suns were completely locked in for pretty much the entirety of this game. So yeah, that was pretty much it on the Clipper side of things. I mean, that issue was bigger in the past, the falling asleep moments. I think it really stood out in this game, but for the most part, it wasn't as bad as it has been in the past, especially in a particular Game 7 from last year that they were in. Or this is a Game 6, but you know what I mean. So yeah, elimination game, same difference. But let's talk about the Suns side of things, because this one I found more interesting. DeAndre Ayton in this one. I believe did he have 10 points in the first quarter? It was something like that. They were going to him. I complained about that in the last video, or the last post-game recap before the last one in this series. I don't know why I can't talk. I complained about how the Clippers had to go small because of no Zubac, but then Ayton shot the ball like 8 times in total, or not even that. I think it was exactly 8 times. He still only shot the ball 10 times this time. They went to him a lot in the fourth quarter. A couple of hook shots for him, a couple of mismatches. Really, everything's a mismatch for him. Down low passes, an alley-oop from Devin Booker. But then he didn't end up getting many opportunities outside of that. They went to him a little bit more in the third quarter, but it was just, yeah, they did not look at him as much as they should. I actually just glossed over DeMarcus Cousins. He had a bank-in three-pointer at the end of the half and hit a three-pointer before that, and I believe he got a layup as well. He just played really good. He reenacted the meme with Chris Paul, because Chris Paul flopped, and he did that the fuck are you doing face that he's won for. Speaking of Chris Paul, though, outside of the flopping, which he definitely did at least 2 times in this game, he was amazing. He had not been good in this series at this point. His conference finals numbers were very, very, very poor. Last game in this series was the only game that Chris Paul played that wasn't pitiful. This game, 41 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists on 16 for 24 shooting, which is 67%, and 7 for 8 from 3, which is 87%. That's not bad. And it wasn't just the fact that he had 41, it was the way in which he was doing it. Now, of course, multiple mid-range shots. Chris Paul does that a lot. Don't know if you knew that. But he also just had so many pull-up three-pointers, and Chris is one of those people that I've always felt shoots a little less. Well, overall, he shoots a little less than he probably should, but especially from three. Like, he's always been a guy who hovered around 4 or 5 3-point attempts per game, and Chris is definitely a better three-point shooter than that. Like, he could easily shoot 8 threes a game on good efficiency, but he put them up today, and they were all dropping. He hit a nasty snatchback on... It was either Beverly or Reggie Jackson. I'm pretty sure it was Reggie Jackson. He did a just like he does this thing where he like takes the ball. I'm not going to use the actual ball for it because he'll just bump into the mic. But he like takes the ball and puts it over to the side and then leans into his fadeaway. Like he puts the ball over to where the rest of his body will catch up to shoot the ball. It makes sense. It might make sense. It doesn't make sense. I don't know. My point is like he sets up the ball to where he's going to shoot, to where he telegraphs the fadeaway before he does the fadeaway, and it's so effective. And I do that as well, so it's interesting to see an actual NBA player do it, because Chris Paul is pretty much the only one who does it. And he did like 2 of those at the top of the key. One of them I know for sure was on Marcus Morris. And it was just like, there were fuck you threes. Like the Lee fuck you threes, well, the CP fuck you 3. He was just phenomenal in this game. You can't say it enough how good he was in this game. Another standout is Torrey Craig. Part of the reason that Paul George had such a rough go of it was that Torrey Craig played some amazing defense on him. Now, credit to Mikal Bridges for being the defensive player that he is. However, it was very clear that Paul George seemed more comfortable with Bridges on him than Torrey Craig. And that's not necessarily because Craig is a better defender. He's just a more physical defender. He is a much stronger guy. So I think that's ultimately what made the difference. He just did a better job of fighting around screens. Bridges is still a fantastic defensive player, but definitely a very good performance from Torrey Craig. 8 rebounds as well in his 30 minutes. Didn't do much offensively, but he just played great defense on Paul George, and he deserves all the credit in the world for that. Jay Crowder had a fantastic game shooting-wise. Jay is one of those players, sometimes he takes shots that I'm like, I don't know that you should be taking that shot, Jay. But then also some days, those shots go in, and this was one of those days. And as for Devin Booker... he's been not great ever since his nose injury, so I'm just going to assume that's what it's been. What's weird about how he's been not great, though, is that he has, like, spurts of being fine, but then he goes back to not being good. I don't know why. Like, he'll just have, like, all the 10 field goals he made in this game. It's like he makes 3 in a row, and then he misses, like, 5 in a row, and then he makes 2 in a row, and then he misses 5 in a row. It's just weird. There's one instance in the first quarter in particular where he took a mid-range shot off of the fast break, and then immediately after that got a pull-up 3 out of a screen, and then it was just like, wow, that was a really good run, Booker, and then just crickets after that. So that's just how he has been since this injury. I'm just going to assume that's what's affecting him. I'm not going to be too critical. I mean, they won the fucking game, so who really cares? But yeah, Booker, not the best performance from him in this one, but overall, I really like this Suns team, and I'm glad to see them here. On the Clippers end of it, if they had Kawhi Leonard, yeah, I would bet on them to win the series. Personally, I mean, the thing is, I say that doesn't take away from it. It kind of does, but at the same time, you can play that game all the time. That's what everybody says. I think it's to a further extreme this year, but at the end of the day, the Phoenix Suns executed and played who was in front of them well. So credit to the Phoenix Suns. I look forward to seeing them in the finals. I actually have no idea what the finals matchup is going to look like now with what's going on with Milwaukee and Atlanta, because probably no Giannis for the rest of the series. Luckily, that injury does not appear to be severe, but it also is definitely not something he's just going to come back from for Game 5. So that's concerning. He's probably not going to be able to play the rest of the conference finals bare minimum. And I don't know how confident I am in the Bucks to beat the Hawks without Giannis over the next 3 games, to win 2 out of those 3 games. I just don't really see that happening. I don't think it's impossible, but I don't bet on it unless Trae Young has more games missed, but I feel like it was a relatively minor enough injury that they could still have him come back. So Yeah, I just don't. I'm not confident in that. So it looks like we might end up getting a Hawks versus Suns finals, which I don't think anybody predicted that. I don't think there's a single soul that predicted that before this year's playoffs, which speaks to how many injuries there have been, but also just speaks to the weirdness of this playoff. So I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. These videos all devolve into me fucking rambling at the end. But you know what? You're the one who chose to subscribe to this channel, not me. I just had a fucking stroke. All right. That's it. Goodbye. Congrats to the Phoenix Suns, by the way, if I hadn't said that already.